This happened when I was about 17. Nothing unusual, just a Friday night. My friend Leo had invited me over to crash at his place and pull an all-nighter gaming. His mom was supposedly out of town, and his dad, well, his dad had been gone for years. The house was old, worn down around the edges. That kind of place with stained carpet, moldy-smelling curtains, and a heavy silence that made the air feel thick. It was in a quiet part of town, far from any traffic or city noise. Leo was a bit odd sometimes. Not in a creepy way, just quiet, tired-looking. Always had dark circles under his eyes, and he'd change the subject fast whenever someone asked about his family. Still, he was cool. We'd been tight since elementary school, so I never thought much of it. That night we played video games until around 2 a.m., laughed at dumb memes, ate expired Doritos, and eventually passed out. He took the mattress on the floor, and I crashed on the edge of his bed, but sometime in the middle of the night, I woke up. At first, I thought it was just a cat on the roof, or maybe the wind. But no, it was footsteps, slow ones, inside the house, and it wasn't Leo. He was dead asleep right next to me, snoring, not moving an inch. I stayed frozen, eyes wide open, heart pounding in my throat. The steps came down the hallway, stopped right in front of the bedroom door. The doorknob turned, slowly, but no one came in. And then, silence. I laid there, shaking, not sure if I should wake Leo or pretend I was still asleep. Deep down, I just wanted the sun to come up. I woke up groggy, early light leaking through the torn curtain. Leo was already up, sitting on the floor mattress, glued to his phone. No, good morning. Just a flat, I debated telling him what I heard. But what if he said I imagined it? That I was dreaming? Midnight messes with your head, doesn't it? Then something really got to me. I went to the bathroom. When I shut the door, I noticed something. A wet toothbrush in the cup by the sink. Blue. Not Leo's. His was black with a Corinthians logo on it. This one was plain. Small. Like a kid's. There were also tiny flip-flops behind the door. Maybe size 1 or 2? In the kitchen, 2 mugs sat in the sink. One with fresh coffee, still warm. The other had milk in it, half full. I walked back to the room, trying to act normal. So, your mom came back? I asked, real casual. Leo looked up slowly. I shrugged. Heard something last night, that's all. He froze. For real. Gave this weird little smile. But his eyes didn't match it. I stared at him, waiting for more. Nothing. He just went back to scrolling. When it was time to leave, I walked through the hallway. It was darker than before, only daylight leaking in through the crack of the front door. That's when I saw it. A door at the end of the hall. A door that wasn't there the night before. It was slightly open. I took 2 steps toward it. The floor creaked, and from inside, a soft laugh. A child's laugh. Quiet. Wrong. I went back to the room without a word. But inside, I knew. There was someone else in that house. The following Saturday, Leo texted me. I almost said no. The image of the door, that laugh, it wouldn't leave my head. But part of me needed to know. Was it real, or just in my mind? I got there around 8 p.m. Sky was cloudy, wind was brutal. Tree branches scraping against the roof like nails. The house felt darker this time. Heavier. I checked immediately. The hallway door, closed. Locked. From the outside. I tried to ignore it. We gamed a bit, but Leo was acting strange. Barely spoke. Kept stopping mid-sentence and tilting his head like he was listening for something. At one point, he whispered, "When we went to sleep, he left a hallway light on. He never did that." I couldn't close my eyes. Creaks above us. Faint thuds. Then footsteps again. Not slow this time. Dragging. Like someone walking barefoot. Bleeding. Then, a loud bang. Something slammed into the hallway wall. I jumped. He stared at the ceiling. He looked at me like I'd never seen him before. Scared. Empty. My throat clenched. He whispered, "I didn't sleep." At dawn, when Leo was in the shower, I did something I shouldn't have. I went to the hallway, and I opened the door. The old iron latch squealed so loud I almost stopped right there. But I opened it. The smell hit me first, damp and rotten, like wet cloth left with raw meat. The hallway light didn't even seem to enter, like the room swallowed it whole. In the corner, a small bed, child's sheets, a bunny-shaped lamp, no bulb. Moldy stuffed animals on the floor. The walls were covered with drawings, hundreds of them. Red pencil, human figures, all scribbled out. Each one with black holes for eyes. Below every drawing, one word, the same, over and over. I stood there, frozen. Then, a whisper, right by my left ear. I spun so fast I nearly fell. She was there, a girl, standing in the corner. Dirty feet, faded white dress, hair stuck to her face, and around her neck, a necklace, with a little name tag. It said, Leona. It clicked in my brain. Leona. She took one step forward. Floor creaked. Her head tilted like it was too heavy to hold. Her eyes, pure white, no pupils. I stepped back, and the door slammed shut behind me. Someone else was in the room. She kept walking, slowly. The room felt smaller, tighter. I screamed for Leo, but she answered instead, and she smiled. A smile no child should ever have. I screamed again. My chest was tight, hands slippery with sweat. I grabbed the doorknob, wouldn't budge. Stuck, sealed. She got closer. Leo is mine, she kept saying, like a broken record. I tried to knock over the bed, break something, anything, but nothing helped. Then, through the door, I heard Leo. He was pounding the door, but he wasn't coming in. She moved closer. I could smell her now, like something dead for days. He was my brother, she said. Her hand reached out, touched my shoulder. It wasn't a normal touch. My body stopped. Blood turned to ice. The room spun, and I saw it. Visions. Leo, younger, crying, locking the door. Her inside, screaming, scratching. Days passing. No one opening the door. The door finally burst open. I don't know how. Maybe Leo kicked it down. Maybe she let me go. I collapsed onto the living room floor, breathless, eyes burning. Leo knelt beside me. My sister, Leona, she died in there. And I left her. We sat there, both shaking. I didn't want it to be you, he said. I tried to keep her asleep, but she wakes up. Whenever there's new fear in the house. And that's when I knew. This was never going to end. Not for him. And maybe not for me either. I never went back to Leo's place after that. We texted a few times. Then he vanished, deleted everything. Instagram, WhatsApp, his number. One day I went back, just to see. The house had boarded windows, chains on the front gate, like no one had lived there in years. I asked an older neighbor. He said the place had been empty ever since Leo's parents died, back in 2016. But that can't be right, because this happened in 2022, and worse. Every now and then, in the middle of the night, I still hear her. Leona, in the back of my parents' house, in the corner of my room. From the TV that switches on by itself at 3 a.m., always whispering the same thing. Leo is mine. But you still can be. I started working at the roadside mini market last March. Night shift. It's a 24-hour place out on the edge of town, right between the industrial zone and a whole lot of nothing. One of those places that survives on truckers, drunks, and people way too lost to be up at that hour. The manager called me in because I'd worked security before, but here, he said, things were way easier. Just keep the store clean, restock shelves, and watch the cameras, he said. No overnight security? I asked. He laughed. Nothing. That was the word he used. My first shift was on a Wednesday. I got there at 10 p.m. and the guy from the previous shift gave me a rushed rundown, and he left. I laughed to myself for a while, figured he was just messing with the new guy. But at 3:17 a.m., something crawled up my spine. I was watching the cameras. There's this screen that shows all 8 outdoor angles at once. A grid. Camera 6, the darkest corner of the lot, glitched. There was a man, standing still, back turned, not moving. I zoomed in. The image got grainy, but I could see the silhouette clearly. He was way too close to the metal dumpster, just standing. I thought maybe he was digging through the trash. But no, he didn't move, not a single inch. I stared for 2 full minutes. Nothing. I blinked, and in the next frame, he was gone. No walking, no exit, just vanished. I went to the door, looked out the window with my hand on the exterior light switch. Empty. But when I turned back to the screen, camera 6 had gone offline. Next night, I came in still trying to make sense of it. Maybe it was a glitch, maybe reflection. Who knows? But that image stuck with me. That man, just standing. There was something wrong about the way he stood. That shift, I tried chatting with Samira, the cleaning lady who works from 8 to midnight. Older, mid-50s maybe. Tired eyes, like she's seen some shit. I asked casually, "You ever seen anyone weird around here at night?" She didn't answer, just slowed down her mopping. I froze. She just shook her head. Rodrigo was the manager. At 2:48 a.m., a guy walked in. Gray hoodie, jeans, dirty shoes. Didn't even look at me. Grabbed a water bottle and walked straight past the counter, headed to the back restroom. I waited a few minutes. Nothing. 5 more minutes, then 10, then 15. I finally went to check. The door was slightly open. I pushed it with my foot. Empty. Light on. Toilet untouched. No flush. Nothing. I ran back to the monitor, rewound the footage. Camera shows him entering, heading to the bathroom hallway, but it never shows him going in, or leaving, or disappearing, like he never existed. That's when I started noticing the patterns. Some recordings had jump cuts. Others froze for a few seconds when someone walked past. And some clips, the ones that should have been running, were just gone. So I started writing things down. Names, times, people who walked in and never walked out. That week, it was 3. 2 men, 1 woman. All looked normal. All walked toward the restrooms. None came back. I started taking pictures of the screen with my phone. Moments before the cuts, the people, what they wore, where they went. Saved them all in a folder. Sent copies to my personal email. I even thought about going to the police. But how would that sound? I sounded insane, even to myself. Still, I kept watching. Every shift, someone new would show up. People who didn't belong there. Even worse, the regulars started vanishing too. The old guy with the limp, the cleaning lady from the other shift, that trucker who always bought energy drinks and talked about his daughter. Gone, one by one, from my radar, from the cameras. Thursday around 3:10 a.m., something hit me like a punch. Camera 2, the one that looks down the hallway between the fridges and the restrooms, showed something strange. Me, standing in the middle of the hallway, looking straight at the camera. It wasn't old footage. It was live. But I was in the control room. The image froze, then came back. The hallway was empty. I jumped up and ran, checked the hallway. Nothing. Came back to the office. The door was closed. From the inside. Locked. My folder? Deleted. My phone? Dead screen. Camera 6 came back online, and there he was. The man, standing in the dark corner of the lot. But this time, he was closer. Maybe 2 meters from the glass door. Then he turned, and I saw his face. It was mine. I didn't think. I grabbed my bag and ran. Ignored the store's radio. It was buzzing with static. The motion lights blinked on one by one as I passed, like the place was waking up with me. I reached the glass door, unlocked it. Nothing. The maglock didn't respond. I ran to the panel, typed in the code 3 times. Green light, no release. I called Rodrigo, the manager. Had to try. "I'm out front. I'm looking at the store right now, and it's..." His voice dropped. The call cut. Not by me. My screen glitched. static, then normal. I ran to the back. Emergency exit, locked. Side exit, chained from inside. Windows, all sealed. Reinforced glass. The lights flickered. All the monitors changed, every one of them, showing the same image. A hallway. Empty, but a long shadow crawling across the shelves. Coming toward the office, the radio hissed. It wasn't Rodrigo. It wasn't anyone I knew. I hid in the stockroom. Even there, the lights flickered. I heard footsteps. Not one pair, dozens, barefoot, all moving at once. Then silence. I opened the door. The store was clean, lit, normal. No shadow, no sign, no bag. Clock at the register said 7:02. Start of the morning shift. Samira walked in like nothing happened. She just stared at me. After that night, I tried to quit. Emailed, called, begged. Rodrigo never answered. A week later, I got a letter. A payment was deposited straight into my account. But I swear, I never signed a contract. I tried to move on, got a job at a car wash. But every time I passed by the store, the open sign was lit. Even on Sundays. Even at 4 a.m. One day, I went in. Don't ask me why. My feet moved on their own. The radio came on. An old, warped song. Sounded like Mr. Sandman, but off-key, too slow. Camera 6, there he was. The man. Inside the store now. Aisle 3, beverages. And beside him, me. No expression. Staring forward. Holding a badge with my name. I looked at myself. My reflection in the freezer glass. It glitched. I turned. The store was full. But not with customers. People. Frozen. Everyone I'd seen on the cameras. The missing ones. Energy drink lady. Limping old man. Samira. Rodrigo. All there. All wearing store badges. The front door locked behind me. Lights off. In the dark, one monitor blinked. It showed my name, being added to the system. Now I sit here, every night, watching the cameras, waiting for someone new to walk in. Maybe you. We rented the cabin through a hosting app. Just me and Julia. 3 days off-grid. No phones, no noise, just us, deep in the woods. It sounded perfect. She found the listing out of nowhere. Rustic mountain retreat, self-sustained, no signal, no neighbors, no problems. The owner replied only via text. Never took calls. He said he left the key in a small flower pot near the door. The road there was rough, twisty dirt paths, a wooden bridge that looked like it would collapse under us. But the view made up for it. We got there late afternoon. The sun was already dipping behind the trees. From the outside, the cabin looked nice, but old. Weathered wood, moss-covered roof, a porch with a rocking chair that moved on its own in the wind. Julia laughed. We went in, and that's when I felt it. Something off. Everything was clean. Too clean. Beds made tight. A full basket of dry firewood. Fireplace still had warm ash. And the weirdest part? A dish sitting in the kitchen sink, dripping. Probably the caretaker dropped by earlier, I said, trying to sound chill. Julia shrugged. But as night fell, little things started piling up. In the bedroom, a mirror covered with a yellowed sheet. In the bathroom, a wet toothbrush in the cup. In the living room, a teacup, still warm. This isn't right, I whispered. Julia went to the window. She didn't answer, just stared into the trees. I joined her at the window. The last orange light of the sun barely reached the treetops. The forest floor was already in shadow. I followed her gaze. Between the trunks, a dark shape moved, slow, shifting from tree to tree. Probably an animal, I said. She looked pale, and with good reason. The figure stopped, just for a second, and even from that distance, we felt it looking at us. We shut the curtains, locked the doors. I lit the fireplace to break the silence in the house. "What if it's the owner?" she asked. She didn't say anything. Later that night, I heard footsteps on the floorboards. I thought it was her heading to the bathroom, but when I opened my eyes, Julia was next to me, asleep. I got up quietly. The only light was from the dying fireplace. The wood creaked under my steps. I went to the living room. Everything looked the same, but on the rug, wet footprints, bare, human, leading from the door toward the hallway. I swallowed hard, checked the door. The deadbolt was still locked, but when I touched the doorknob, it was wet from the inside. I rushed back to the bedroom. Julia was awake now, eyes wide. "That one," she pointed, "just past the kitchen. There was a door we hadn't opened yet, that I swear wasn't there before." "I thought it was just a pantry," she said, but something in her voice said she knew it wasn't. We stood there, staring at the door. From the other side, a sound, breathing, low, steady, and with it, a metallic clink, like someone pulling on chains. "Julia," I started, but she was already backing away. "So?" She looked at me, eyes filled with tears. Julia didn't want to stay another minute. She was right. And still, something held me back. A stupid need to understand before running. Worst decision I could have made. Before leaving, I went back to that door. The pantry. Now it was shut, locked. From the inside, I pressed my ear to it. Total silence. Then, knock, knock, knock. 3 taps from the other side. I bolted. We grabbed what we could and headed for the trail. But the path had changed. The river we crossed on day 1, gone. The sign marking the trail, missing. We walked for hours. Everything felt like a loop. Julia stopped, shaking. Deep in the woods, through the trees, the cabin. We had circled back. We returned, exhausted. The lights were on, but we turned everything off before leaving. And on the porch, 2 mugs, steam rising, hot tea. We entered, scared, but with no other choice. In the bedroom, the sheets were messy, but the bed made, the mirror uncovered, and in the corner, a suitcase, not ours. We opened it. Children's clothes, a diary, pages torn out, only 1 sentence left, written over and over, and a name, scratched hard, ANA. Julia dropped to the floor. She pulled up a screenshot of the ad on her phone. At the bottom, almost invisible in faded text, "We didn't argue. Just packed. Ran." Julia shoved her phone in her pocket. Still no signal. I grabbed the kitchen knife. No idea what for. It just felt necessary. She paused at the door. A soft sound. Singing. A lullaby. Childlike. Everywhere at once. We stepped onto the porch. The forest had changed. The trees looked taller. Thicker. Like they'd grown overnight. No sky in sight. No trail. We started running. Looking for a road. A voice. Anything. But the forest was closing in. Trunks tightening. Branches lower. Julia started crying. "Something's following us," she said. And she was right. We heard footsteps, not matching ours. Sometimes ahead, sometimes behind. We stopped near a clearing. I turned, and there she was. Anna, a thin girl, straight hair, white dress, no smile, no blink, just staring. And behind her, the cabin, again. We had run for over an hour, but it was back, standing, waiting. Julia dropped to her knees. I looked at her, and for the first time, I saw it. Her eyes, darker, deeper. She smiled, but it wasn't her. I stepped back, dizzy. The forest spun, and when I looked again, I was in the cabin, back in bed, fireplace burning, suitcase in the corner, mirror uncovered. I saw myself in the reflection, but my reflection smiled on its own. The days after, or maybe hours, I stopped trying to leave. Julia was gone. Maybe she left. Maybe she became part of the house. Maybe she never existed. I don't know anymore. The cabin is quiet, but never empty. The forest breathes through the walls. The wood creaks like bone. The mirror watches even when I'm turned away. And Anna, she shows up sometimes, sitting on the porch, watching me eat. Sometimes she sings, sometimes she cries, sometimes she whispers in my ear as I sleep. The app disappeared from my phone. Tried to warn someone, record, write, scream. Nothing sticks. Everything resets. The house keeps me fed, keeps me warm, keeps me hidden. And sometimes, someone new arrives, like we did. Car pulls up, door opens, nervous laughs. A couple, maybe a group. People looking to get away from it all, to unplug, to feel the silence of nature. And when they walk in, I'm here. Table set, fire lit, and a whisper they hear too late. Anna loves company, and now, so do I.